Hello my friends and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and in today's video, sponsored by the makers of Rise of Kingdoms, we're going to be checking out how you unlock Hector, how you unlock Achilles, and some of the new stuff that's in the upcoming Troy KvK, which I definitely look forward to playing, and looks like it brings an elevation to the level of skill to Rise of Kingdoms gameplay, which I will certainly enjoy. So let's get after this, man. First up, Hector. He's going to be available in the Trojan Treasures event. If you're wondering, Chisgule, where are you getting this information from? This was in an official Rise of Kingdoms video. I actually covered the piloting topic yesterday because that seemed so hot. And now we double back and we cover this. All right. So in this event, you're going to get these keys. You use the keys to pull for Hector. There's a 1.398% chance per key of getting a full Hector. So good news is there's a 17.482 chance of getting one sculpture. Is there any sort of like tiered reward here? This is like a wheel without being a wheel. It feels like, right? That's like what we're looking at here. A wheel without being a wheel. I mean, at least there's no research and building speeds, even though there's kind of an outlet for those now, which I love. The addition of that overflow progression system, absolute W. Here is how you get the keys. It looks like this is going to be very similar in a way to like the archaeology event that we've got, right? Hunt for History. Yeah, that's the one. Oh my God. There's so many events and bundles and things. I'm mixing up the names of all of them. But anyways, 100 gems per key, and you can get 500 keys. 100 gems per key, like I would have to do the math real quick, but 1,000 gems gets you 10 pulls. This feels like it's actually, with the exception of the gold stars, really good value, right? And even then, this might actually just be like really good gem value if what you need is sculptures. Now, from my standpoint, I want to put as many of my gems as I possibly can toward other things. I want to put my gems toward things like materials. I want to put my gems toward armaments if I can, which there's an event to do that. So when we look at this and it's like, 1,000 gems, am I getting this right for 10 keys or $5? Like maybe what I want to do here is spend the gems? Question mark? And buy bundles for other things? I'm not so sure. I'm going to put some more thought into this. This is just on a test server, so the balance of things here may change. We'll see. But that's how you ultimately go, and you're going to get your Hector pulls. It seems like for the gems, it's pretty good value if you rate a legendary commander sculpture at 2,000 gems per sculpture. So although there aren't those tiered rewards that you'd see in a wheel, the cost per sculpture could be relatively low. And then there's the Achilles unlock. Now we saw this exact bundle with Ragnar. So you buy something and then you get some tiers of the bundle for free. You know, I mean, it's just how you think about it, I guess. It's a mental framing. It's $5 for everything up to the $10 bundle. It's $10 for everything up to the $20 bundle. And I think this goes on a little bit more. But in fact, I remember this going on quite a bit for the Ragnar bundle, right? So you can buy your way into some legendary commander sculptures. Where will he show up after that? Well, how do you get Ragnar today? There's not actually a lot of great ways to get him, is there? So could be that this is going to take a lot of universals. And, you know, my take on this, just in case anybody's wondering, is that Achilles will be a valuable combo asset and likely to be high value for a while. I think Hector is really good gap fill. If you're a 3x Cav player and you want lots of combo, I do think that Hector will be pretty good. Otherwise, I'm very cautious about proceeding with him, okay? Now, when you are in the Troy KvK, at this Chronicle point, you're going to gain access to the accessory, the emblem of Nike. It's Nike? Nike? I don't know how you actually pronounce it in Greek lore. Swoosh. Anyways, you basically get the artifact, just like we have with Ragnar, that makes them viable for all troop types. So, like, in this KvK, it's possible that Achilles could be decent, I would think, as a smite commander, right? Not a smite commander, but, you know, converting Converting him to an infantry commander could be good, as an example, because, basic attacks benefit from normal damage, so does smite. Whatever. As you go through this, there's going to be a will to skill event, which gives you a little bit of extra stuff for deploying sculptures to specific commanders. Presumably that's going to be Hector and Achilles. I would love to see one event for Hector, one event for Achilles, because then you could get the rewards twice, but it sounds like there might just be one event, and if you work on either of them, you can get these rewards. It's not a ton, but I'll say getting some speed ups for sculptures you might have deployed anyways is pretty legit. Getting some gems for sculptures you would have put in there anyways is pretty legit. 200 sculptures gets you the max rewards, it looks like. And now, we have the patronages, all right? There's 4 different patronages. Athena, Artemis, Apollo, and Poseidon, I believe is what the last one is. And in the Troy KvK, you pick. And what's cool is that the devs shared, not only do you pick, but there's actually sort of like a talent tree. Now, we've actually seen this in Call of Dragons. So if you are subscribed to my channel and you know that the makers of Rise of Kingdoms collaborate very closely with the folks who make Call of Dragons, all of this specialization and the way this stuff works is so insanely familiar to you. Like, we literally have a class system for a specific season format that is so shockingly similar to this. So I'm not at all surprised that we have something like this where I'm sure these little points along the way are going to be giving potentially like duration boosts or buffs to the different effects that you get from the main skills. At least that's how it works in Call of Dragons. And we do see like a stopwatch and an hourglass. Like, those could be durations of things. In Call of Dragons, we actually got extra troop return at the end of the season. So you could like specialize to get 3% of more troops back from your Hall of Heroes. So all I'm saying is I can't predict exactly what these will be, but if it's like Call of Dragons, these will primarily affect the 3 main skills and also have some other perks at the tail end potentially. So let's read this here. For your patrons' blessings to take effect, they must have an equal amount of faith. The faith requirement will increase daily. Oh, dang. So those that didn't believe up front, you had too little faith. Your cost is going to go up. Your faith equals crystals spent. Bro, why is there a quadratic equation up in here? Your faith equals crystals spent divided by 150,000 plus kill points divided by a number that doesn't have any commas. Was it like 10 million? Something like that, maybe? Only kill points earned from the enemy camp units count toward this calculation. So you actually have to you earn faith is it by spending crystals plus smashing enemies? Some combination of these things? Any patron skills that target a governor troop can only be cast by troops with at least 200,000 T4/5 units. So it sounds like you can't use patron skills unless the army that is using it has a sufficient amount of troops. Okay, definitely interesting. This aspect of how this works is, I think, very different from Call of Dragons, but I could be misremembering. Now, you can, it looks like, get patron XP. Wait a minute. For the patron's blessings to take effect. Oh, I understand what's happening here. Okay, let me explain. The faith is what you use to cast the skills, I believe. Okay, I got it now. Faith casts the skills. You need faith to cast skills. We do have something like that in Call of Dragons, but then patron XP is how you actually level up this talent tree. That makes so much sense. So Bastion Quest, Olympian Arena, and Mid-Season Review is how you are going to ultimately earn the XP you need to go through the talent tree. But then smashing enemies is how you earn patron points to be able to cast these different abilities. That's very interesting. The faith requirement will increase daily. In Call of Dragons, they've just got a number and a passive regen, and you can increase your passive regen in certain ways. But you can have up to 200 of this in, Call of Dragons, and using abilities has a certain cost. So these abilities will probably have different costs for faith, and then you use them, and the XP is how you level up the talent tree. That makes a lot of sense. So let's talk about the different sets of abilities. Remember, you have to pick a set of 3 abilities here. So one of these abilities looks like it costs you 50 faith, and once per day you can claim a wisdom scroll. The type and tier of the scroll you receive depends on the current scroll pool. Pool 1 includes a Demeter scroll. Pool 2 includes a Demeter scroll 2. An Argonaut scroll 1, lower odds. And I don't know how to pronounce that, something else scroll 1. Okay, so these are different buffs. And I believe that they're temporary buffs that, can you give these to other players? Or you probably just buff other players, potentially? You claim a random wisdom scroll. Okay. And then the next skill, the caster's troop and a nearby friendly allied troop, up to 10 in total, gain 5% bonus damage dealt. Whenever any of your troops sev wounds or kills 10,000 T4 enemy units, you receive some resource packs. That's actually kind of funny. Duration of 15 minutes. So you go into a big fight and you get a little bit of resources out of it. I mean, the 5% boost to damage is nice, but I feel like we can get more from these skills. All right, final skill. This one's got to be a banger if I'm going to even consider this one. Mighty heals the caster and nearby friendly allied troops 10 in total every 10 seconds. Healing factor 50,000. Jesus. For how long? Cooldown of 60 minutes. Targets must be out of combat. Each troop can be healed up to 500,000 slightly wounded by this skill, regardless of the caster. Duration 15 minutes. Yeah, that skill seems pretty good, although breaking combat kind of sucks, but that happens more often than you would think. I mean, I'm pretty lukewarm on the yellow, what is that, Apollo grouping. Let's look at the green one. Green grouping. What do we get from this one? So this is an important skill, I believe. Once per day, you can sacrifice a resource point or barbarian fort to Artemis, instantly removing it from the camp. For too gosh darn long, the barbarians and the resource nodes have been winning KvKs. It's about god dang time we take back control. Power to the people, man. Let's go. Joking aside, we have something in Call of Dragons you can reuse on a regular basis to clear resource nodes, and like, man, it's a lifesaver. Because why should resource nodes win KvKs? Am I right? So this is good. I'm only half joking about winning KvKs, obviously, but long ago, for those of you subscribed to the channel, we made the recommendation that resource nodes should not spawn in Kingsland until after the Zig is decided, because the resource nodes, I joked, were winning the KvK. They made that change. Easily an amazing change. So, love to see this. We know this is going to be good, because it's amazing in Call of Dragons. We know we need this. Everybody knows we need this. This is so good. Passive, you'll earn gold whenever you sev wound or kill a T4 unit from an enemy camp. But only 2 million per day. Okay, like, rein it in. KvK's 50 days. If you fought all 50 days, you're not getting that much gold. All right. Moonlit Paths. 20 seconds after the skill is cast, a teleportation circle appears around the caster's troop. 20 seconds is a long-ass time. The circle can teleport up to 10 friendly allied troops to an aligned troop in the same province. Oh, yeah, we have this in Call of Dragons, too. The teleported troops gain 10% attack for 3 minutes. Invisible troops cannot be teleported. We'll talk about invisibility in a second, but this is a 3-hour cooldown. Yeah, we have it's called a staff. I forget the name, staff of something or other in Call of Dragons. And you can make plays for sure on far locations. I don't know how this applies per se to Rise of Kingdoms. I guess if you're like trying to stop an enemy from doing something, this could work. Like, think about this, right? So you use your crystal tech to instantly send your armies home, and then you use Moonlit Paths to teleport back to a fight that's like in the middle of the zone in a zone opening, when otherwise you would have had to walk 20 minutes or something like that. That's probably the most likely use here, if I had to guess. Okay? And then Dark Moon Ambush. I'm sure other people will come up with cool uses. By the way, leave a comment if you got a cool idea for how you'd use this thing, right? 10 seconds after the skill is cast, the caster's troop and nearby friendly/allied troops, up to 5 in total, become invisible, gain 100% march speed for 300 seconds. Invisible troops cannot be hit by AoE skills. Pretty neat. When entering combat, they will come out of invisibility and losing march speed, but gaining 1,000 rage. Yo. We have that effect in Call of Dragons as well. By the way, cavalry get this all the time when they charge a ranged unit. It is satisfying, although sucks to get dunked by it. And I think, what value is there to, I guess you could surprise a flag that you're rallying? Like, all your troops go invisible and you launch a bunch of rallies and then release them. You anchored the rallies. You release rallies in 2 completely different directions, and like, your troops are invisible, so the enemy doesn't know which one you're actually going to hit. You could probably do some stuff with that, right? All right, we're up to the Red Power Ranger. Or deity. Patronage. Red Power Ranger, Apollo. Okay, Apollo's Radiance. Active. Instantly receive 4 hours of your city resource output. Okay, I mean, nearly 0 resources, but more than 0. Passive, your ranged troops. Oh, yeah, I'm not doing this. Your ranged troops can directly attack an alliance's stronghold durability. The durability reduced depends on the damage dealt. It's the attack. Oh, another quadratic equation here. Up to 50% of the stronghold's max durability per attack. Wait. Up to 50% of the stronghold's max durability per attack? You can reduce up to 10,000 points of durability per day this way. Okay. The only question to me is like, if you're doing this, are you attacking it? Like, or are you just like pew-pewing it with radiance and it's losing durability, right? Like, do you have to actually, like, if the stronghold is garrison, do you fight the garrison? Or like, are you glowing it with your radiance and it just loses durability? I'm definitely curious about this. I'm sure somebody smarter than me will figure that out from the wording, and I'm just being a bozo. Can be cast by troops using V formation. You take 6 seconds longer to switch to range mode. While in range mode, you get 50% attack range, but recover 10% rage, but attack with a certain angle. I think you get, you get more range, but a narrow angle of fire, and you generate rage slower. So you can shoot from afar, and it takes longer to set up. Okay, and then Solar Chariot can be cast by a troop using V formation. Troops can launch ranged attacks without switching to range mode, but it loses... Oh, wow. You can do range attacks without going into range mode. You lose 15% attack, and it can only attack if it's been out of your city for at least 15 seconds. If there are no enemy troops within melee range, you deal 30% more damage. Whoa! 30-minute duration. 30-minute duration. Wow. Okay. Solar Chariot. That's a thing. Cooldown of 120 minutes, though, so definitely wacky. And then finally, who was this? Blue Power Ranger. I can't think of the name. I feel silly about that, but let's just run with it. The Blue Patronage. Instantly defeat 7 barbarian troops per day without spending action points. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Somebody's going to find a way. Oh, I guess you can't, if they're instantly defeated, you can't AoE Barb Farm or something like that. Okay, anyways, when one of your field troops enters combat, your troop and up to 5 nearby enemy troops lose 50% march speed and deal 30% more ranged counterattack damage. Weird. For 10 seconds. Huh. Lose march speed, but deal more counterattack to ranged troops. Cooldown of 10 seconds. Is this all passive? Skill effect. I don't know. Shield of the Sea. Your troop deals 10% less damage, but takes 15% less damage from all troops other than their current target. Decided after 2 rounds of combat, duration 15 minutes. I don't know about that one. Unrelenting Fury. While the skill is active, if one of your troops has less than 50% units remaining and is surrounded by 10 plus enemy troops, you gain 30% damage resistance? Yo. I'll tell you this. Reports in this KvK are going to be so freaking cracked and wacky and weird. Like, sometimes you're going to be like, I thought I played so well, but my report is so dog shit. And it's like, well, yeah, they had like this active or whatever. And other times you're going to be like, I'm a god. I don't know why, but I'm a god. And it's like, okay. Like, the use of these skills is going to be like... really swingy on the reports, I think. For those wondering about the horse forts, once you get your RCF, the RCF starts building them, and then you assign them to alliances, which is kind of wild. Here's all the detailed rules on how that works. All in all, I'm actually really hyped for this KvK, and I am hyped for the new commanders. Probably Green Power Ranger is the direction I'm going to go. By the way, if you want to know the cost of the horse fort, here it is. I don't think that this is actually building in like 1 minute, but maybe there's some sort of building speed buff going on in the test server. This was all shot in a test server, but if you can horse fort wherever you want in a zone and it only takes a minute to build, I think they said, though, it doesn't... Didn't they say when it's building, you can teleport to it? I've got to think that this is a normal build time. I don't know why it's 1 minute here. Right? There's no way that it's got such a short build time, right? Because, like, what's the point of making it so you can teleport to it if it finishes in 1 minute anyways? Like, then you should be able to teleport to it, right? But your cities aren't safe on that territory. Whatever. You enjoyed the vid, throw a like on here, subscribe. Big thank you again to the Makers Rise of Kingdoms for sponsoring today's video. I will, like I mentioned, almost certainly be going Green Power Ranger on this one. Being able to go invis and then pop out and do some stuff seems pretty good. Teleporting is going to lead to some playmaking, which could be pretty cool. Yeah, I think this is probably where it's at. And, you know, being able to sacrifice the barb forts and resource points so they don't win the KvK is definitely a W. You even get gold passively, which I think is also a W. So yeah, the only thing that could get wacky is if this buffs rallies, like people are going to have to do this. So we'll see. I hope that you can't buff rallies. I've always felt like rally buffing was really, really, really silly. That open field marches could buff a rally, just like really imbalance things. But I mean, that's a whole separate can of worms we don't need to open up. If you want to see my prior vids about this KvK and the upcoming commanders, check the cards over here. Until next time, you have fun smashing your enemies. Take care, everybody.